Well, breaking news for little Brownie Bites here. He's Daryl Ruiter. I'm Andy Baskin. Thanks for watching us on our YouTube channel. Paul DePodesta out. I don't know that anybody saw that coming, at least today. Daryl, what is the latest on the chief strategy officer of the Cleveland Browns deciding to head to the Colorado Rockies?
Yeah, DePodesta has decided that he's had his fill of the National Football League here in Cleveland, and he wants a new challenge. That's what I was told by a source this afternoon. He is going to go ahead and work for the Colorado Rockies, be their top baseball executive out west, ends a nearly 10-year tenure with the Browns. Remember, they hired him in early 2016 to come in and basically remake a lot of the organization to really champion the use of analytics and data points and whatnot. More bad than good when you look at the overall picture, but really, Andy, he was the man behind the scenes that no one really knew what he did. Right. And he had the title chief strategy officer, but no one knew what that meant or what he actually did. He worked in all facets of the organization, though. He was a trusted advisor to the Haslams, when it came to business deals. He worked with the front office as far as compiling data on personnel, and he did have some influence on it, but it's not like he was running the personnel department. And I think that was one of the misnomers out there, that DePodesta was running things. Not necessarily the case. Of course, he championed the big teardown in 2016 and 2017 that led the team to go 1-31 while collecting a bevy of draft picks that resulted in players like Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, David Njoku, former Browns Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield. And the team also did make the playoffs in 2020 and 2023, but unfortunately, all that work, all that pain that got invested in, it only resulted in one playoff win. So, DePodesta is out, and now we wait and see what that does or the impact, I should say, it's going to have on the futures of both head coach Kevin Stefanski, whom DePodesta wanted the Browns to hire back in 2019, as you remember, Andy, and instead they hired Freddie Kitchens. That was a disastrous year. They fired Kitchens after the 2019 season and then went back and hired Stefanski, a two-time NFL Coach of the Year. So that's where we're at. DePodesta's leaving the Browns on his own. He's not been fired. This is a decision he made. He wanted to get back into baseball, and he's going to do that with the Colorado Rockies.
All right, so Daryl, I was told maybe a week or two from somebody I trust that the Browns might be looking at analytics in a different way than maybe they were a year or two ago, that the analytics were being overseen by analytics and saying that maybe this isn't working in the right direction. Now, if DePodesta is leaving on his own, then that doesn't really matter. Right. But I'm wondering, with Paul DePodesta out, if they'll completely kind of rethink and rework the way they do things. I will say, the one thing that Paul DePodesta brought to the organization that will be my lasting memory of him is patience. Because I think before Paul got here, the Haslam group had a tendency to want to pull the trigger on stuff really, really fast. Now, it didn't result in good records or maybe even good football, but the Haslam's image changed with DePodesta here from an organization that kind of looked haphazard and would fire a coach in seconds to, we'll have patience here, and if it means we need to lose, we're going to lose. So it'll be interesting to see how they mix going forward. Don't you agree with that, or just your thoughts?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, they're kind of back to the space they were before DePodesta got here, right? This was part of the reason that they went that radical approach with the analytics and trying to outsmart everyone. And listen, analytics gets a bad name. I am all about using as much information to your advantage as you can. It's just, unfortunately, the Browns really never had an advantage, it seemed like, right? They had the information. They never had the advantage. And part of the reason they never had the advantage is because they just haven't had the franchise quarterback. They've swung at a couple, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson. It's hard to say that Baker was a swing and a miss, because he did lead the team out of that 1-31, 4-44 quagmire that they were stuck in, and help begin the process of turning it around. They won the playoff game in Pittsburgh against the Steelers. The Browns have a playoff victory more recently than that franchise does, which is a unique trivia question, considering all the Vince Lombardi trophies that currently live in Pittsburgh. But the bottom line, though, is they're 5-20 in their last 25 games. And, they were in that vicious cycle of 4-12, 5-11, 4-12, 5-11, sprinkle in a little 3-13 occasionally, but back to 5-11 and 4-12. And DePodesta is like, listen, you got an expensive roster here that isn't that good. Let's just burn it to the ground, buy as many draft picks as we can. We all remember, the trade with the Houston Texans for Brock Osweiler, $16 million to buy a $60 million contract, I should say, to essentially buy their second round draft pick, which I believe turned into Nick Chubb. So it was actually,
which still to me, to this day, I'll always wonder. And because, Osweiler's name got ripped a little bit when he got here, but, I was doing sidelines for TV at that point, and I never saw some of the things that people were saying. In fact, when we saw Osweiler play during the preseason, he was better than DeShone Kizer. And so when they got rid of Osweiler, I was like, I don't get it. Like, that was one of the moves I'll never understand.
Yeah, it's almost like them getting rid of Joe Flacco.
You know what? You're right. That's a great call.
Yeah. So, this kind of came out of left field. Pardon the pun there, but it did. And, as I said, I'm expecting an announcement to be made on Friday.
Do you think we'll have a press conference? Let's be honest.
In Colorado, they might.
Oh, yeah, maybe. That's right. But he's not going to talk about the Browns there. I'm just wondering, again, is this one of the reasons Andrew Berry didn't speak?
It could be. I mean, I don't want to speculate on that. I'm
just wondering what they're thinking at Lou Groza Boulevard right now, because again, was it a convenient time for him to take the Rockies job? Was it something he really wanted? Yeah, I guess so. With the baseball season, I mean, free agency opened today, so I mean, I can understand that. If you're the Rockies, you want to make sure you've got somebody that knows what he's doing when you're bringing in free agents, right? So
yeah, I think the timing of this certainly works out for all parties involved, right? But it was. Let
me ask you: is he completely leaving the Haslam Sports Group?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing for him to do. Okay. You know what I mean? Like
like people didn't know what he did, right? So
that's part of the problem.
We're looking. Hang on, but we're looking at it as fans that saw the roster in and out. But there may have been business decisions that he helped them with. And maybe getting to the Dome was one of those things too. You're right. It's mythical in some ways.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the problem and why he's such a lightning rod, because he has always had that philosophy, Andy, of not feeling the need to explain to the media what's going on. The problem is, and especially in today's day and age, when you don't do that, all you do is leave yourself open to unnecessary speculation and ridicule. And that's what it's been for the better part of 10 years, because he's been the guy behind the curtain, so to speak, right? And wondering if he's the guy, he's the puppet master controlling everything.
Well, I think that the Wizard of Oz is what I think a lot of people thought.
Yeah. And so that became the perception of him here, fair or not, but that's what it was. And also it didn't help the team. 56 wins, 99 losses, and 1 tie. And it's not like the Haslams are getting banged for their buck when it comes to the money they're spending on the roster versus the wins and losses, especially these last 2 years, right? But again, they're back to where they were when he arrived. So I kind of feel like his tenure here was a complete failure. Now, he built infrastructure for them. Okay. Scouting infrastructure, football data analytic infrastructure and things like that. And there's something to be said for that. But the bottom line is that the team didn't win consistently when it was here, which was part of the reason they hired him. And then also, too, no one knew what he did. And so you look at the record, you look at not knowing what he did, that's how you do become a lightning rod. And it's unfortunate that he leaves here with people still not really understanding what he did. But I can tell you, yes, he did work closely with the Haslams on business. as well. Like, this notion that he just sat next to Andrew Berry's office there and kept walking in and out telling Andrew what to do every day. That's not what was going on here. Okay.
Right.
Did he make suggestions? Of course he did, but he wasn't running the operation per se. He was providing the information and giving them everything that they could to make informed decisions. And again, nothing wrong with that. But when the team and the roster is in shambles the way it was in shambles when he got here. And guess what? He's leaving it in shambles. So it's the circle of life, so to speak, has kind of come around. And it's going to be interesting now to see what direction the Browns go from here. And again, what impact does this have on Andrew Berry and on Kevin Stefanski as far as their futures beyond what is becoming a very difficult season for the Browns as they sit at 2-6 coming out of this bye week, getting ready to fly to New York and take on the Jets, who they themselves a much larger dumpster fire than we have here in Cleveland. There's more drama in New York than here, right? I mean, there's losing going on here, but there's not a lot of drama going on here because you have adults in the organization that are running things that know how to conduct themselves accordingly. But DePodesta is out. A lot of Browns fans get their wish. He's going back to baseball. And now we just sit here and wonder what direction the Cleveland Browns go from here.
All right. Our next time we'll talk to you is immediately following the Browns-Jets game coming up on Sunday for Brownie Bites. Again, the news of the day, Paul DePodesta takes a job with the Colorado Rockies. He is no longer working for the Browns as far as football is concerned. Again, thank you for watching us on our YouTube channel. And then also for the latest breaking, when you're not watching us on YouTube, make sure you're checking us out at 92.3 The Fan.